Hi, gang. Welcome to Eating Plebian once again. And today we're doing just a very simple one, the omelet. So, the omelet is one of the simplest things to make, but it's also the most difficult to get exactly right. What you need is you need eggs, you need a little bit of water or milk. There's a whole big camp surrounding that debate. Salt, pepper, a bit of butter. Anything else is pretty much optional. Uh, my wife, who I'm making lunch for right at the moment, is pretty well sitting in the just give me some cheese and a little bit of herbs camp. So that's what we're going to do right at the moment. I also have over to my side one good Teflon coated pan. Uh, I have two of these, one this size, one a little bit larger for full family breakfasts. But these are the only Teflon pans that I have in the entire house. Otherwise, I use stainless steel. You can use anything that you want to, obviously, but I just find the steel conducts heat a little bit better, and I'm not replacing them every year. So the only thing this gets used for is eggs, maybe the occasional crepe. But I'll set that back down over here. What I want to do is give you the most foolproof method that I can find for making an omelet without overcooking it and just making it just perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pair of eggs. So there's one. Boy, that's a monster egg right there. There's the other. We are going to give it just a little dash of salt and a couple of grains of pepper. And you'll remember that whole thing that I just said about there's camps. Some people say you should put a little bit of milk in it. I just use a tablespoon or so per two eggs, and I find I have a lot of luck with that. So I'm just going to take these eggs now, pierce them, and give them a good scramble. Get the pepper off the side. Now we're about to transfer over onto the stove to see how this gets made. All right, now that we're moved over to the stove, you'll note this is not yet turned on. I'm going to try to give you the most foolproof way that I can give you. So I am now going to turn this stove onto what for me is low, because this thing has an absolute immense BTU output. Low to me is kind of about medium low to almost medium on some stove units. So this is where one of those things that's going to take practice is getting to know your cooking devices. So with a cold pan, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. You can be a bit less than that. I'm just ballparking it here. And we're going to let this just to melt and just to start fizzing. The fizzing is the point in which the heat is enough to boil the water, but not nearly enough to get the fats to burn or anything like that. So we're just going to let this go for a couple of seconds. The omelet is, as I said, one of the more difficult things to do because heat is actually, and heat management is the most critical thing that you could have, or that you need to use in terms of getting the thing to come out right, and also knowing when to stop. But I'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, now the butter has finally gone to liquid. If we stir this around a bit, we tend to fizz. That's good. I am now starting to see a little bit of steam from the water on the inside. It's time to cook. So I'm going to put our egg in there that has the water and the salt and the pepper. And from here on, this has our complete attention. All I'm going to do is I'm going to stir up from the bottom and away from the sides. And I'm just going to keep working this. You'll note that we're already getting some solidification going up from the egg. The key to this is knowing when to stop. And that point will be when I push away from the sides and I don't have enough liquid in order for it to fill in with a little bit of assistance. I can do it yet right here, but if I give it a little bit of a toss or a shake, it'll fill in. But we are almost there already. So we don't have a very hot pan, but we are getting a pretty thoroughly cooked omelet because of the way we are shaping things in. And now we are at the point now where I'm going to stop. So what we have so far is a omelet that is cooked evenly from top to bottom, although it's not entirely cooked. But once I fold this thing over, residual heat, carryover cooking, is going to go ahead and that's going to complete the omelet's cooking. If you wait for this to be dry, by the time you serve it, it will be overcooked. And as I said, she likes a little bit of herbs in there. These are herbs de Provence. That's all you need. And now what I'm going to do is turn that off. So I'm back in the camera. You'll note that that's flowing around. I'm going to flip it over halfway out of the pan and then watch my wrist action. There we are. You'll note that we don't have any of the we're all browning, charring, or anything like that. I personally don't like that that taste in there, but in about 30 seconds, this thing is going to be completely cooked all the way through, no problems. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this to Mrs. Flynn for her lunch. And that is, as they say, the trick. But anyways, thanks once again for joining me here at Eating Plebian. I hope you eat well. Hope you do it cheaply, affordably, and healthy. Thanks.